And when you were in college, did you say, I want to be an entrepreneur, I want to run a family office business, I want to be an investor? What did you say?
So I grew up in a family business. The whole family convened there every weekend, every holiday. I had an elder sister, a younger brother. And since the family was all we did, Mom would be there. She kept our family together. Father was thinking about where and how we grow this business. So we were there cleaning the floors, selling washing machines, and then ultimately getting home and doing the cashiering ourselves to get the banking done. So in that journey of a family business, I only knew the idea of being an entrepreneur. I didn't know anything. Now I expressed that by mimicking what my dad had done. He was an engineer. So I figured I'd be an engineer.
What year did you graduate from college?
I graduated in 1995.
Okay, so then you just say, I'm going to the United States for a business school, or what did your parents say?
A friend of mine had an interview with a firm called Anderson Consulting, now called Accenture. And he told me you should talk to them. And what sold me on the idea in spending time with Accenture was the idea of advising businesses on what they should look like. And that sounded more exciting to me because I felt that I was sitting in that world right now with my dad, learning what he had put together. So I fell into consulting, and it happened to be consulting a lot to financial services and specifically private equity firms.
All right, and then after that, then you went to business school?
That's right. So when I got to that world, I realized everyone in private equity had this thing called an MBA. And I didn't know what these words were. They seemed a lot smarter than I did because I could do the work, but they had fancy terms they would keep using. And I realized that I didn't know what those terms meant. So I wanted to go to business school to go and learn that and understand what I'm missing so I could go into that world.
So you went to Wharton?
I did.
And when you got there, did you think the people were smarter than you or not as smart as you?
There were people who were plenty smart. David, the people at the top end of our class were astronomically bright. I had to make up with it with hard work. I had hard work and they had the brain, and that combination to me was how I was going to catch up.
And what did you do right after that?
What I realized coming out of it is I wanted to try something new, and a friend of mine had worked at Goldman Sachs. And he had told me about the firm. I knew the firm quite well from dealing with them on the opposite side of these private equity firms. And I wanted to go do something at Goldman. And I agreed to a job in the summer of '00 that when I showed up in '01, the job didn't exist. And I found out 2 days before I started work. I started work on a Monday. I got a phone call on a Thursday saying, hey, I have good news and bad news. The good news is you have a job. The bad news is the job that you were coming for does not exist anymore. The team aren't here.
And what part of Goldman were you in?
It was within the asset management area. So investment management division is what it was, and my job was around something to do with asset management. I didn't even know exactly what it was when I got there. And quickly I learned that I had to learn all the aspects of what people were doing. It was modeling decks. It was doing what a lot of my analyst job had done, but I was pretty happy to start at the bottom.
So after 8 years, you decided to leave Goldman. Yeah. Is that right? And and you started this firm in 2011?
2011, correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
So did somebody say, I'll give you some money to start it, or you just say, I'm going to do it with the savings I have?
So it was really from our savings, but David, I think a lot of it will tie back to this question you'd asked a little earlier. When I got to Goldman, I realized that what we were going to do if we're going to be in this industry as a framework was to figure out how we could partner with entrepreneurs in every way that we could. Initially, it was going to be if they had a lot of capital to invest their money, but very significantly, it was to be on the journey with them through the financing of their business, through their financing of their business, beyond just their life, into taking my company public, into growing this into a much larger ordeal. And our job was to oversee all of that. And as I went through the journey, I realized the power of what we had built in that initial couple years in our framework, and then put it into implementation over that time frame at Goldman that led to us building ICONIQ, was this idea of a community. And that's where we spent a lot of time. This community aspect was vital because people who chose to become part of our little group within Goldman was very much focused on this concept of, if you're part of a community, you have to contribute back. So we would invite people to sit at this table with us. They'd be thinking about investing with us. We would go to them with ideas we were considering. We'd go to them to help them buy into the process of what we were doing. So this community was vital to the very origin of who our business was. So ICONIQ, when we set it up, was really an extension of what we've been doing for all those years. So I didn't look at it as a founding, but really a rollout of what we've been doing for now 8 years.